Welcome, ladies. It's 2025, and I'm so excited to have you on board. Jamie, hello. Welcome back. It's nice to see your name here on Zoom. How are you, Jamie? Do you want to unmute yourself and say hello? I've missed you.
Hi.
Hello. Happy New Year.
PJs.
Chinese New Year was yesterday.
Oh yeah. They did some celebration here at one of the city halls on the weekend.
Awesome.
I think
Now you're in Toronto.
fireworks.
You're in Toronto, aren't you, Jamie?
Yeah, but it's multicultural city, so they celebrate like everything.
Amazing. Well, here in Melbourne, it's very multicultural as well. So we had lots of parades and lots of celebrations, and that's why I'm wearing green, because it's the year of the wood snake. So the element of wood in Chinese medicine is green. So
okay.
I'd green it up today, girls. And so what's your intention for this year, Jamie? Is there any New Year's intentions or resolutions?
To get healthy, physically, emotionally, and spiritually.
Amen to that. I'm with you all. Heather, do you want to say hello? Welcome, beautiful.
Sorry, I just now getting my app reinstalled on this phone. Hello.
Hello. Happy New Year, my love. Are you cooking for us?
Yes.
What are you cooking up in the kitchen? I love.
Right now I'm doing fresh green beans. I cook all my meals ahead, so as stupid as it sounds, because I get off late. So I'll cook what I cook like the day or two before, and then I'll prep out stuff like at my leisure during the evening. So that's what I'm doing now.
Well done. Folate rich. Prep is key. I love your work, darling.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Oh, do you want to say hello? Hello from New York. Is that right? Hi, Sam.
Yeah, I'm in New York.
Yeah.
Hi.
It looks cold there.
Yeah, I'm outside, but it's not too bright in here.
As long as you're rubbed up. In Chinese medicine, we say we keep the portals warm. So we get cold that comes through the head, through the neck, and through the lumbar spine. They say in Chinese medicine that wind is the spearhead of 100 diseases. So it's great to see you've got your scarf and you're all rugged up and you've got your beanie on.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
warm, keeping that warm womb. So, ladies, I'm going to make a start. So just know that I'm a doctor of Chinese medicine, specializing in fertility. I'm going to talk for 30 minutes approximately. I'm trying to condense a very big topic into a short talk. I've tried to keep it very basic and simple because I tend to go too technical. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get you to, at the end, not put your questions in the chat, but just unmute yourself, ask me your questions at the end with your face, so then I can feed off you, and then we can explore any questions that you may have. So we are talking today about toxins and endocrine disruptors or estrogen disruptors, and literally they are affecting all of us. You know, it's not just for fertility, but this could be potentially one of those hidden things that could be affecting your fertility. Now, we hear about environmental toxins all the time, right? When we think of environmental toxins, we think something outside of the home. We think of nuclear plants or smoke spewing out of factories or wildfires. You know, like we've had all those fires in California. It's horrendous. So the truth of the matter is it's actually more subtle than that. Okay, so while we have gas emissions from industrial sources like vehicle exhaust, heating units, industrial machinery, power plants, combustion engines, and cars, all right, then well-known health hazards, most toxins hit closer to home, right? And they are unwittingly absorbed through our household products, cosmetics, and even your food and water supply. So these toxins can be found pretty much everywhere, probably more so than you can imagine. I mean, talking about this topic, it does scare me a little bit because, you know, in the last 70 years, there's nearly 100,000 New chemicals have been released into the environment via our food and water supply. So we find them everywhere, from our manufacturing, they're in our clothes, our cars, our toys, and your furnishing. So they're just all around us. And then you've got all those, ingestible, absorbable products like herbicides, pesticides, and all the hormonal preparations we use to grow food. So at least 85% of these chemicals have never been tested for their health effects in humans. So their safety quotient is unknown. That's the scary part. So among those that have been tested, there's about 800 of them that are known to negatively impact our health, especially our hormones, which is why you're here today. So these substances are called endocrine disrupting chemicals, otherwise known as capital E, capital D, capital C, or EDCs, all right, or hormone disruptors. So literally they precisely do what the name implies. They mess with your hormones, all right? So EDCs are chemical contaminants, and they mimic literally your hormones, and in doing so, they sneak in. It's almost like the Matrix, the war of the machines coming through. All right, they sneak in and they scramble the messages your cells are meaning to communicate to one another. All right, so what the EDCs mimic is estrogen in particular, and that's the focus today. And they're known as xenoestrogens, all right, or foreign invaders. So think of them as estrogen's evil twin. By sending mixed messages to your estrogen receptors, what they do is they trigger hormonal imbalances. So this is the imbalances that we see in the reproductive system, which have been linked to premature obesity, puberty, miscarriages, infertility, endometriosis, changes in hormone levels. We've got decrease in, literally sperm and egg quality. We've got damage to the DNA of the sperm. This is the genetic material in the sperm. We've got long cycles. We've got just taking a lot longer to get pregnant, early menopause, and even in some cases, cancers. So, if you're going through some struggles and you're thinking, it's, you're taking it all personally, I just want you to take a step back and go, it could be the environment. It could be my environment. All right. So they're easily absorbed. I think that's the takeaway. Xenoestrogens, what they do is they enter the body in much higher concentrations than your own estrogen. And so that's where it gets tricky, because it damages the endocrine system and your nervous system. So endocrine and nervous. So no wonder we're all feeling unwell and hot-headed and, out of control. So, hundreds of these chemicals are also toxic to your brain. So, it gets pretty scary. So just in recent years, air pollution has become both acknowledged as a health hazard and newly identified risk for stroke and dementia. All right, so while this rigorous research on the topic is ongoing, I'm just going to break it down into the things that we know so far, because we want to control the controllables. So it only takes small amounts of those endocrine disrupting chemicals to damage our health. So even low-level exposure to xenoestrogens can do significant toxic damage, especially to women and children, particularly pregnant women. All right, so the American Academy of Pediatrics recommends limiting exposure to environmental pollutants and chemicals, plastic in particular, for infants and children. All right, the endocrine disrupting chemicals that are stored in our bodies, they tend to affect women more than men because, since women store more body fat tissue than men, we accumulate these toxins at higher levels in our body fat. All right, and it's the highest concentration is found in our breast tissue, all right, which correlates to an increased risk in breast cancer. All right, so the accumulated effect of these toxins can last for years, if not for life. Most of the, like a lot of manufactured chemicals that have been, banned in the US, for example, like if we look at DDT, it was banned in the USA in 1972, all right, but it can still be found in the soil today. And, we can find it in the bloodstream of people born long after the usage ceased. Now, another excellent, I'm getting tongue-tied, excellent example of a chemical that's like can last hundreds of years in the environment that we're all aware of now is the plastics and the microplastics. So we'll get into that a little bit further. But, pollutants contaminate all living things, not just us, but animals too, because they carry toxins in their bodies too. So then, what's concerning in the case of farm animals is since whatever toxins that they end up storing, we eat that contaminated meat and dairy products. So overall, we're going to break it down into the primary culprits. So the number one thing, right, if we look at it, is cigarette smoke. Like it literally contains nicotine, arsenic, carbon monoxide, acetaldehyde. All right, these are the chemicals that increase the risk of various cancers. We've got, and these substances, these are all wreaking, havoc on your hormones. We've got the bisphenol A or BPAs. You've probably seen that, when you're looking for BPA free. So they're found in your plastics and they're found in the water bottles. They're found in plastic containers. They're found in thermal liners and the inner lining of canned foods. All right, they're found in plastic utensils and cups. We've got the phthalates. They're found in the soft plastics, so you'll find them in vinyl flooring, shower curtains. What else? You'll find them also in food packaging, children's lunch boxes, toys, and even the teethers that we give children, as well as fragrances and candles and now body care products. So the phthalates are a big thing. We've also got the heavy metals. So this is aluminium, cadmium, chromium, lead, mercury. Now we find that exposure through smoking, air pollution, dental fillings. What else? Contaminated food and drink, contact with petrol, industrial and household products. And then we've got these ones, these anagrams. PFAS, polyfluoroalkyl substances. Now that's a nice, get your tongue around that. Polyfluoroalkyl substances, polyfluoroalkyl substances. So it's a blanket term. It's a big umbrella, and it's a large family of over 10,000 human-made compounds. Now, particularly, we're looking at PFOA and PTFE. So it's found in the lining and coatings of much of our cookware, and it's released when it's heated. Now, the thing about this cookware is they resist heat, water, oil with remarkable tenacity. The downside is they're extremely slow in breaking down in the environment. So that's why they've earned this unsettling nickname known as forever chemicals. All right, so we've also got brominated and organophosphate flame retardants. They're found in your rugs, your foam furniture, your carpets, your floor polish, your nail polish, your clothing, other textiles. Insecticides, pesticides, that's pretty straightforward. It's found in your bug sprays. It could be in your termite control. It could be in lawn and garden treatments, but it can also be in your animal, flea and tick control treatments. And then the last one, I've saved the best for last, but this is not a good thing. The microplastics have literally polluted the entire planet. So we're now seeing this in the stomach and the intestines of, babies and human breast milk. We're seeing it. There was a study I looked at in Rome, in Italy, and this study was done, and it was published in the Journal of Hazardous Materials in November 2024. And they said in this article, microplastics were detected in 75% of the women. And this was 34 healthy mothers a week after giving birth in Rome. It was in the breast milk. It's pretty scary. So if you look at it like this Italian team also identified microplastics in human placentas in 2020. So the proof of microplastics in breast milk is pretty devastating, as babies are so vulnerable to chemicals. And if you look at their bodies, babies' bodies, they take about 3 to 6 months to develop and, their digestive system. Others can take up to 12 months. So, it's terrible that we're seeing the microplastics in babies at such a young age. So, all right, that's the dark news. The good news is that we're going to now go into the positive stuff. We're going to look at ways you can reduce environmental pollutants in your life. So I know sometimes you just think, where do I start? Where do I start? Because you can't control everything. all right? But you can control the controllables, and nonetheless, you've got to remember this, that change begins with us. So it does start with us. So by all means, quit smoking, all right? Despite awareness around smoking, like lung cancer, like, just any form of cancer, but lung disease, particularly heart disease, it's pretty much a global public health issue. All right, in the United States alone, more people die from smoking than HIV, than illegal drug use, than alcohol use, car crashes, and guns combined. All right, so I hope that these lightning bulbs are just boom going off in your brain. And approximately 20% of 60 million American people smoke today. All right, so a remarkable 88 million non-smokers, so this is including children, they're exposed to the second-hand and the third-hand smoke every year. So the list of negatives are long, all right, but if we're going to just focus on fertility, I want to really just drill this one home, right? No lifestyle factor single-handedly does more damage to your ovaries than smoking. All right, in part because it affects your body's ability to turn testosterone into estrogen. So testosterone aromatizes into estrogen, and it makes it harder for your ovaries to supply you with estrogen. So as a result, smoking just makes this hormonal cascade worse than it needs to be. So, if you're going through perimenopause, it can lead you into an early menopause just by smoking. So if you've got hot flashes, mood swings, or insomnia, the smoking actually makes it more intense and literally for those that don't smoke. So if you look at, some of the studies that I looked at, like one study, it was like women who smoke 100 cigarettes, so 5 packs, that's only 5 packs in their lifetime, have a 26% greater risk of going into menopause in their 40s than compared to non-smokers. So, cigarette smoke, or if you've got people around you, we want to really encourage you to quit. And if you've got children in the home, there's the incentive, because, let's try and resolve it as quick as we can and spread the word. Now, if it means that you've got to do nicotine replacement therapy, if you've got to get on the Champix or cognitive behavioral therapy or antidepressants with anxiety relieving properties, Chinese medicine is amazing. I love Chinese medicine, like herbal medicine, acupuncture, exercise. But even if you can do little things, like you may even want to just start with Alan Carr's book. I love his book, The Easy Way to Stop Smoking. And he says to literally light a cigarette and start reading the book. And it talks about the brain chemistry and why you do smoke. But, you've also got the American Cancer Society, the American Lung Association, and the National Cancer Institute. They all provide online resources and chat support. And, keep in mind that a healthy diet in antioxidants, but little things like vitamin C and vitamin E supplementation is often needed with smoking if you're a smoker or you're doing withdrawal, okay? And for those that are exposed to that passive smoke. Second thing, filter your indoor air. Now, I know this sounds really silly, but, sometimes an air purifier can make all the difference because, the volume of toxins in our home and our electronics, the household cleaners and insecticides, body products, all the surfaces that we wipe down, you just don't realize that you actually could be living in a soup of toxicity. So my lovely little remedy is, if you don't have an air filter and it's expensive, bringing in plants. So bring in your potted plants and they're going to help minimize your indoor pollution. So several plants that I'm going to mention, and, they reduce the volatile organic compounds. We call them VOCs, like formaldehyde, xylene, toluene, benzene, chloroform, ammonia. Some of these products, acetone. All right, so these plants are fabulous. Now, you probably see them all on TikTok. My husband loves TikTok. He sends me all these things. That's where I've learned about snake plants and spider plants and peace lilies. Thank you, Bert. I love my husband for TikTok and his information that he shares with me because I get to impart this information with you. So, ladies, snake plants, spider plants, peace lilies, they're very beautiful. But also golden pothos. These are often called devil's ivy. All right, impossible to kill. So if you don't have plants in your home, go for the devil's ivy, right? Because you can't kill it. It doesn't require much water, right? Cheers. It literally not much water, doesn't need a lot of light. So you can put it in those dark parts of your home, and it can reduce the airborne mold, excuse me, and bacteria. Went down the wrong passage. Went down my pharynx instead of my larynx, the other way around, larynx instead of pharynx. Anyway, so other things to do, eco-friendly household products. So look at your products. So, I know that sometimes it's difficult, but you just start having a look. Maybe look at one thing at a time. So these kinds of things that we're talking about, maybe use this as, all right, next week I'll try the household products. Now, they used to have exclusive labels like Mrs. Myers and Seventh Generation, which can now be found at Costco and Target and your supermarkets. So have a look at your products and just see what can you supplement. Or even if it's like, okay, I can't afford those products, can you make something simple like vinegar and baking soda, like DIY yourself? You can add in even some, clove oil, and, there's so many different DIY remedies that we can do that is natural. We want to green the home. So, look at your fabric protecting chemicals and flame retardants. They're two classes of seriously harmful endocrine disruptors built into your sofas, chairs, carpeting, and household decor. All right. And we also want to just minimize exposure. So try to go for things like, wooden utensils instead of plastic. Metals, untreated natural fibers, or other eco-friendly upholstery. So it's important also that we dress for health. You've seen that, I don't know, one of my patients, she sent me about the frequency of fibers, and, so we want to look at the frequency of what we're wearing. Are we wearing too many synthetic fibers? They're often endocrine disruptors. So instead, we want to select things like organic cotton. We want untreated natural fibers like linen, hemp, wool, bamboo. All right. So these are just things that you can go, right, have a look what you're wearing now. What are my underpants? Yes, there's nylon. Get them out. Swap them in for your cotton. All right. We can make the simple changes. Like, these are little things. Collectively, with the little things, we make great big things. We want clean food and water. So, clear it clearly. If you can filter your water, and it's not like you need to purchase really expensive things. You can get simple water filters. All right. You want to wash your fruit and vegetables to remove any pesticides, fungicides, herbicides, and that may have been sprayed on them. So sometimes I'll use zeolites, Clintoptilolite zeolites, and you want to use 1 or 2 teaspoons of the zeolites per 1 litre. That's 4 cups, and just soak them in the water with the zeolites for 10 to 15 minutes. Now, the other solution I've got is, like a quarter of a cup or half a cup of baking soda, and you can do that. Similar remedy, to 1 litre of water. So soak everything about 10 to 15 minutes. You just want to literally rinse everything. The other things, we want to use things like, glass. Get rid of your plastic water containers. But, just put some glass jugs, start to come back to the old ways that we did things, like what our grandparents did. We want to check labels. All right, check labels, ladies. So this is where there are like high fructose corn syrup, or MSG is a big one. MSG, you should see what I become a pufferfish with MSG. Literally, my whole body just swells, and I can go, oh my God, the salt and the parched feeling. It's like, oh my God, it really wears me out. I almost can't go to a Chinese restaurant because MSG's made a comeback in Chinese. So if you do like Chinese food and you're doing takeaway, can you ask for MSG free, please? But things like other, artificial food colorings. So look for examples: blue 1, red 3, red 40, yellow 5, yellow 6. All right, these things, sodium benzoate. But you want to avoid ingesting these kinds of things. All right, do your best to avoid. But then we can look at, some good natural preservatives. So good old vitamin C, citric acid, and vitamin E, your tocopherol. All right, and calcium phosphate's another good natural preservative. So Where you can shop organic and local. Let's come back to your farmers markets. All right, it just prevents that exposure to pesticides, herbicides, antibiotics, and all the myriad of chemicals in the local food supply. We want to, I know buying organic is not always easy, but, you can also look at going on the environmental working group. That they provide a lot of information on what foods contain the most pesticides. And currently they have on the EWG list of products vulnerable to contamination. They call it the dirty dozen. So this includes your apples, your celery, berries, peaches, spinach, and kale. So if you are eating those things, you really need to make sure that you wash those things very well. And then they've got the clean 15. These are things like avocados, cabbage, corn, pineapples are least affected. All right. So peeling and rinsing can help. All right. If you do eat animal foods, another place you want to go to organic is with meat and dairy. That's, that could be the two things that you start with. And then if you're eating fish, you want to make sure that it's low mercury. So include things like Atlantic salmon, wild caught, catfish, clams, anchovies, flounder. My husband loves flounder. Haddock, mullet, pollock. All right, those kinds of things. Now, I know that there's no government-approved safety organics for seafood, but just think, wild caught is healthier and safer than farm-raised. So wild caught, no farm-raised. And if you can, if you're just finding it really difficult, go for frozen canned wild caught. Is cheaper than fresh sometimes and as nutritious. So there's always a solution. There's always a solution. Think of glass as the new plastic. Glass is the new plastic. That's a great catchphrase from today. Glass is the new plastic. I think in Norway, in some of these countries, they've actually banned plastic bottles, which is brilliant. So some countries are taking the lead on this. So you can do this yourself. So use your glass, your stainless steel. All right, swap out your water bottles. Look at what you're taking to the gym. If you go into your cafes, a lot of, cafes are now really happy for you to have your ecological BYOC, bring your own cup. All right, bring your own cup. Ditch the styrofoam and the plastic and, do the BYOC. Ditch your non-stick pans and pots and use cast iron. So we could look at stainless steel. We can look at tempered glass or enamel. We want to avoid, I think this is a big one, the food that comes in the plastic wraps. All right. And, if you do have things come in plastic, for example, cheese and cold cuts, then you just want to take them out and put them into a container. Never heat your food up in plastic. I think that's the biggest takeaway. If you're microwaving things, the BPAs and other microplastic literally leaches into the food. So we want to make sure that we do not reheat food in plastic containers. When you can order foods in bulk. I think that's a great idea, and use your own, cloth bags for shopping and storing. Put them in your car. And then just think about, opt for reusable and refillable household products, everything from soap to skincare. All right. So look at, recycled glass containers, then use glass jar dispensers and buy less expensive refill versions and in bulk to fill them. We want to be choosy about your skincare. So this is your personal care products. So again, I'm back to the, environmental working groups, the EW.
You're muted.
Thank you.
Yeah, I was like doing this on myself. I was like, I can't.
Am I muted? Have I been muted the whole time?
No, I
No,
accidentally did it. I'm sorry.
Oh. Okay, that's all right. Okay, no problem. She's come back in. Tara's come back in. All right. Anyway, we're back online, ladies. So that's pretty much, some of the glass is the new plastic. Be choosy with the skincare. That's where I was. Back to where I am. I'm back. All right, we want to just look at your labels again. So I really like Arena Webb. She's my favorite go-to. I Read Labels For You website. So it's literally ireadlabelsforyou.com. Arena, she is a consumer safety and advocate and manufacturer advisor for ingredient safety. So you can actually, if you're struggling and you're just, have a consultation with Arena. She's amazing. Her site's full of a lot of free downloads and free resources, but the Environmental Working Group and Arena Web are my two favorites. But, if you look at your skincare, like this is one of the first things that I did when I was swapping out my skincare, because if you look at your skin is the largest organ in your body. So think about your body lotion that you put your skin moisturizer on the skin. Start with that, all right? And just go, is there anything that says like parfum or, what's the word that I'm looking for, that it's got the ingredient flavor or something like that. But literally change it for organic, something that's got essential oils, like the one that I swapped mine for had all these beautiful organic oils. So it's had grapeseed and olive oil and beeswax, and then it had geranium and orange and lavender, and it's just beautiful to put on my skin. It feels very light. And, so you might want to start with that. Another good DIY solution, if you're, removing your makeup. So you can remove your makeup with coconut oil. So just put that over, do your lips, do your eyes, and then rub it off with a soft cloth. And then you're done. It's magic. So I guess the finale here, I've tried to keep it at 30 minutes. I'm 7 minutes over. I'm going to try and finale this and end beautifully, but literally by paying attention to your everyday choices, just reducing the exposure to those endocrine disruptors, you're not only protecting your hormonal health, your ovaries, your egg quality, your fertility, but you're also creating a cleaner, safer environment for future generations. And just know this, that every small step helps decontaminate your surroundings. It helps safeguard the well-being of your loved ones. You enlighten the collective and carbon footprint on this beautiful planet. So just remember, we're in this for the long haul, not just for our own health, but for the health of future generations to come. Thank you for joining me today. Ladies, I'm going to open up the Q&A. Do we have any questions?
I don't know if it's more of a question or a comment.
Yes.
The smoking, as most of you who've been around me for any length of time know, I went through a battle with smoking for a few months. I had been quit for about 6 years, but prior to that, I had something like 15 pack years, which is a lot more than 5 packs.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Am I basically out because of it? How do I detox from it?
Look, this is these are just look, there's studies, all right, and they look at the basics of things. But here's the thing: the takeaway is that you regrow every cell in your body every 12 months, like the liver regenerates itself. You don't have the same cells that you had 12 months ago. This is what happens. But if you keep doing the same thing over and over again, you're teaching those cells to wire and fire and do the same things, and so they have the same outcome. By making these changes, the work that you do now, you'll see the benefit in 12 months.
A long time.
The lungs take a long time. They do take a long time. They're the last one. But right now you're doing the work on your ovaries, all right? And all of that makes a difference. So, yeah, it does count. It does count. If you're not out, no, by no means, no stretch of the imagination. Like I've worked with smokers before that have had good outcomes. But there's been a tidy up. You have to do the tidy up. You got to do the work.
I'm doing it.
Yeah. Well, I just hope that this inspires you to stay on track. Like,
I think this is a wonderful talk. You solidified a lot of stuff that I had rolling around in my head anyways. I've already started changing over to glass, and it was really a good piece of information. Like right now, as we're talking, I'm taking bulk seasonings that I bought in plastic bags and putting them into glass dispensing jars that I had bought. So I'm like, oh, good. I figured something out.
it's beautiful. Yeah. Just awareness and knowledge is power. So yes, you can always change the outcome. I've seen it. And I've seen it with methamphetamine and heroin addiction. I've seen some incredible stories where we've been able to create families and from crazy addictions that is worse than smoking. Yeah.
All right.
Nina,
Thank you.
Nina, do you have a question for me? Nina, come on.
Hi
Hi,
everyone.
Nina.
Okay, so I'm sitting here with my husband.
Yeah.
It's a little overwhelming, I have to say.
Sorry.
Heather told me about yucca, so I've been like scanning everything, and the way I see it is, if like my eyeliner finished, so I'm not gonna buy something new that's not healthy, but it's a little bit too much to change everything at once for me.
Yep.
My husband switched from smoking to, he never smoked in the house, so I don't know how much secondhand smoke. I mean, maybe I don't know, but he vapes a lot,
Okay.
and he's not really interested in. He says it's hard.
It is hard. It takes a very strong person to smoke. Can I just say that out loud to everybody? And Alan Carr mentions that in his book. You know, I couldn't smoke because I've got very weak lungs. My mother smoked in utero, so I have asthma and I can't smoke. I can't. I don't have the strength. That's my that's the weakest part of me is my lungs. So it does take a very strong person to smoke. So with his strength, we can use it for good. So get him the book.
He read the book years ago. He's the type of person, like, tell you, he'll do it if he wants to. I can't comprehend why he wouldn't want to.
Yeah.
That's, I can't comprehend. His life insurance is up because technically he was a smoker. I mean, he limits it to like 2 a week, but I'm not around him when he smokes. So the question is, do I still secondhand smoke?
Yeah, I understand. No, if you're not getting exposed, if he's not smoking in front of you, no, you're not getting exposed to it. Yeah. But
Okay.
you know, we want to protect his DNA. That's part of his 50% of his sperm for this process. Yeah. So we're like, you know, just say, would you be open to some hypnosis, or would you be open to trying the Champix, or could you talk to Heather? She can have
Would you be open to have patches?
the patches.
Whatever.
There's all different types of ways to withdraw. Plenty of strategies in Chinese medicine.
No, but he has to want to. That's the thing.
Yeah.
He has to want to do it.
It can start with, we're planting seeds, part of it can be, sometimes it's hard to come from you, Nina. Like, that's why you use a friend. Like, I know Heather's your friend. You can say, I'd love you to have a conversation with Heather, because sometimes it's just hearing it from a third party. Or maybe we could get him on a consultation with me, Nina, and I just have a little chat and I can explain to him what it's doing to his sperm. I think awareness is key when we're working with detoxification and withdrawal. And
yeah, so tell him in short, because he's right next to me, what is it doing to a sperm?
it's literally affecting the DNA of your sperm. This is the genetic material. So DNA fragmentation, inflammation, lowering the morphology, it's heating up your lungs, it's creating inflammation in the tongue, and it's firing up the nervous system. So it's going to be affecting your REM sleep. And that's why we need you to be sleeping well. So there's a lot of I know you're laughing, but yeah, it's not funny. Yeah.
No, it's not funny. It's not funny.
No. And we're laughing because there's no other way to express it. But I want you to feel like there's no judgment. Like, I've worked in drug and alcohol rehabilitation. I've worked with polydrug use. I've worked with a lot of withdrawal in cigarette smoke. And we often use moxibustion, right? This is the stick. I don't know if you've heard moxibustion, but we use the stick moxer, and we will moxer the lungs. So maybe, Nina, we can get Thrilly to moxer his lungs, and we've also got the anatomical box.
I did the kid's boxer.
You did it as a kid?
Yeah, my mum used to do boxer for me.
Okay, so could we do it again?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, so when you put the moxer on the chest, the last thing you feel like doing is having a smoke. It almost gives you an aversion. All right, it's a bit like being on the Champix. But yeah, we can find some strategies for you, Nina.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Jamie, do you have a question?
I do actually I probably have a couple.
That's
but
fine.
I want to say that I really like, my voice is just coming back. I had laryngitis because I had like a whole bunch of things going on.
Yeah.
But I really like this talk. It was really good and good timing. And one of the comments I want to get your take on this. A while ago, I look up I go on Instagram a lot and I see a lot of I click on things that are like health related a lot and then spiritual. And so I started getting a lot of feeds from like different health things, and one of them was about laundry detergent and the laundry detergent, especially like the brand names like Tide, which I was using. So I was using Tide, and I was also using the Resolve powder for stain removal, and because of my bedwetting problem for the pee pads, right? So I was using that all the time, and both of them. And then one day I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna try this other stuff. So I want to ask you if you know this stuff. It's called Clean People laundry sheets.
Oh, that looks great.
Yeah,
People.
it's supposed to be. I mean, they advertise it as like an alternative that is you can get it. It's like ultra concentrated laundry soup sheets,
Yep.
and you can get it unscented or lightly scented, but it's not supposed to be like poison like the other stuff.
Right. Darling.
And the funny thing is, I think, okay, I'm wondering because I was having so much trouble with my periods not being like being irregular. So I stopped using it a bunch of months ago. And then the last like 3 cycles, and hopefully this fourth one, maybe I already had 4, have been like not totally regular, but way better. I'm
Okay.
like, whoa.
Whoa, I know.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
So I'm like, what can I get rid of next?
Well, exactly. So the next thing I would start with, okay, because you've just changed the laundry. Start with the body skin, like whatever you put on your skin. Like it might be all right.
Yeah.
Use the
I
coconut
want to
oil.
ask you, yeah,
Yeah.
because I use Burt's Bee on my lips,
Yeah.
which I think is good. But for the body lotion, I use Eucerin. Do you know that one?
No, I don't.
Okay, it might be North American, but
Okay.
I'm gonna look it up and see. They advertise it as pretty healthy, but also I just saw something on Instagram yesterday about not Eucerin, but about CeraVive, which I thought was healthy too, but I don't like that one. That it's not. It's got disruptors in it. So I was like,
There you
could do this one too.
Well, this is where I love this for all of us, ladies. You're becoming fertility detectives, and this is what it's about. That you can then share this knowledge, and by all means, what you learn, bring it to the alive. Heather's saying she uses coconut oil for her for her moisturizer, and Froya Organics for her face. So you might want to try that.
Okay.
Froya, Froya, Froya. Write that down.
Okay. I was supposed to say FR.
Froya. Heather's saying she also addressed the toilet paper. All right. She has switched to bleached. So this could be
Yeah.
like I think we feed off each other. All right.
I heard that too.
Yeah.
I heard that on Instagram too about the toilet paper being all bleached and full of all sorts of chemicals, and then our clothes.
Yep.
That's why, and I understood that clothes were somewhat because that's why it has a label saying like wash before you wear it, right?
Right. Yeah.
Which is
Exactly.
something I used to not do. I'd like,
No.
whatever.
Well, now you know. Yeah, but just the little things: washing your fruit and vegetables in some apple cider vinegar, high carb soda, because we eat 3 times a day. We're always eating. So go glass and wash your fruit.
Yeah. I want to ask you one other thing about the plastic when you're showing the glass. So I threw out a bunch because you were saying that before a while ago. I threw out a bunch of plastic cups that I had because I'm always like, I'm a little clumsy. So I was like, oh, they're lighter. I don't drop them, but I threw them all out, all of them. But what about the Brita? I use a Brita water filter. Like, do you know what that is?
No, I don't.
It is made out of plastic. It's a water filter, like a jug. And it has a filter in it. And then
It doesn't do anything.
Okay, that's what I've been hearing.
It doesn't do anything. It's a
gimmick.
It doesn't. It's a gimmick. It doesn't do anything.
Crap.
Yeah. It would be the ideal is to do and I know it costs money, but the ideal would be to have a water filtration, put in your house,
like your tap, or like in an apartment, like on your tap, right?
Yeah, like you could just do something like you don't have to do a whole house, like just something for your drinking water, like a reverse osmosis or an ionizer, or something for just your kitchen sink for drinking water,
Okay.
because the Brita, and depending on where do you live?
In Toronto, Canada.
Okay, yeah, I don't know you could always do a water test of how good and bad your water is. With
Yeah.
and without the Brita, you could like test
Yeah.
test it.
That's a good
Yeah.
idea. Yeah, I'm in an apartment, so I was thinking about, because I have a neighbor downstairs, an older lady that has like something that she got put on the faucet, and I know that she uses that to filter it. So I was like, oh, that is a good idea. It probably works better than my Brita.
I
Another
used
thing
to
you can
use
do,
I used a Brita for years and it doesn't.
Okay.
sorry. So another thing you can do that I do, I mean, actually, my house is double filtered, but on my tap, I have a rental unit from Culligan, so they maintain it and everything, and it attaches where a sprayer normally would be, but they have other options, and they come out and they water test whenever I ask for it, and they do it a minimum of once a year when they come out to do the maintenance. It costs me like, I want to say $12 a month, and that way
Okay,
you can
wow.
do testing on it too.
Oh, thank you guys. That's some great information.
So, team. Tara.
Quick question for you.
Oh,
Back to washing produce. As you're talking, I'm cooking and I've got this pre-washed organic spinach. Do I need to worry about washing it the way you were talking about, or do you think I'm okay to go?
Look, if it's organic, normally that you don't have to worry as much, but you still want to rinse it.
Okay.
You still want to wash it.
Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome. Tara, love, is there anything you want to add or share or?
No questions, but yeah, sorry it was a little bit late popping on. I started messaging you in the chat about something and I realized, oh, she's on right now. So then I hopped on. Yeah. So just a little comment about laundry. I had the fan going because my neighbor uses toxic laundry. And so I had to buy an industrial fan so I could blow it back to their side. Yeah, because their dryer vent is inches away from my, window. And so, I had to buy a fan. So every time they do their laundry, I had to put the fan on and blow it back so bad. So yeah, it's like I become so sensitive. All the chemicals you're talking about, I become so sensitive about like all of them. And so, yeah, the one thing that I'll just add about the whole water filtration, I ended up buying a whole house water filtration. And then as part of the whole house water filtration, they gave me 5 years worth of all natural soap products. So it's great. It's pure and gentle. So it's laundry, cleaning, shampoo, conditioner, dog shampoo, hand soap, body soap. Anyway, it's great. So
Winning.
and now anytime I smell Tide and Downy, oh, it's awful.
Yeah.
Like instant migraine.
Yeah. Oh, you see what
So
it's creating.
it's such an endocrine disruptor. It's just it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look, I thought I'd start the year, ladies, with this topic because it is the biggest thing, and we often just forget about it. And that's as part of starting the year. What can we fix in our immediate environment? Can we add in some snake plants or spider plants, some peace lilies? What can you do? Can you change out some of make it the simple changes? So start with the things that you've been inspired with others that have made the changes, whether it's the moisturizer or the toilet paper or the filtration. So go slow, start small, but starting small, it does have impact and you can change the outcome. I think that's the biggest takeaway. So ladies, thank you for joining me. I will see you again next week. I'm going to love you and leave you. Bye.
Bye. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.